So I'm Shawn Staveth, and I am one of the co-founders of Technovation Minnesota. And I'm also the digital learning experience lead at Cargill.
Awesome. What inspired you to be a co-founder of the Technovation MN chapter?
Yeah, it was quite a few years ago now. And I was working in an organization where I wasn't technically a technologist. I was in a product development role. And I found myself in a lot of meetings with technologists and often found myself that I was the only woman in the room. And the organization that I worked with also recognized that they needed to be more active in recruiting females to be in technology roles. And when they initiated an effort, I thought to myself, well, how can I participate? And I took it upon myself as kind of a personal thing to do because I was in that position myself to encourage more women to get in tech. And by happenstance, I went to a mini demo. Those of you who are aware of mini demos, I went to a mini demo and someone had tweeted, it was right when Twitter came out. So I'm kind of dating myself. Right when Twitter came out and someone tweeted, hey, we're looking for someone to help get more girls in STEM fields. And of course, I retweeted back then it was very few characters back in the day, and said, I'm interested. And then about a week later, I met with Rebecca Schatz. And before I knew it, I was the co-founder. But the main impetus was that I felt myself that I needed to be around women, and women add a lot of value to product development process and different perspectives and whatnot. And so that was really important for me. The other thing I wanted to mention is I had a conversation with a professional mentor of mine, and I was telling her that there was kind of a gap in my brand portfolio per se. And I had young children at that time. My family was doing wonderful. My work was doing wonderful, but I still felt this gap. And she had said, well, you come up with 3 words that are really important to you. And let's find out if we can get you a volunteer organization that matches those 3 words. And my 3 words were girls, education, and technology.
Look at that.
And I brought those together. And I was like, woo, we got it. So it was just kind of a serendipity that I went to the mini demo and connected there. But that was I don't even remember the individual's name who gave me that feedback. It was one of those ad hoc conversations that we had, and it just kind of blossomed from there. And so, I would encourage anybody who's, feeling like they need more out of life, right, to think of your 3 words and figure out how you can, participate more. So.
And it is really that easy. Just figuring out what you're passionate about, and there are places to plug in and take that to a whole new level. So
absolutely.
You kind of mentioned mentorship. So is there someone who kind of acted as your mentor or go-to person during that founding time when you were just getting off the ground and getting things started? Yeah.
So I have a few in there, but 2 in particular I'm going to mention. One is Rebecca Schatz. She's the other co-founder of Technovation, and she passed away not that long ago, a couple years ago now, and we miss her greatly. But we worked really well together. She was an amazing computer scientist. She was led from behind, and was very much an introvert, and I am very much an extrovert. Yeah. And so there were many times when I was going through this process that we each kind of had our role, and we knew our roles. And there was so much camaraderie between the 2 of us. And I learned so incredibly much from her. And she had founded several nonprofits. And so I felt comfortable that although you don't always copy the same path, right, or plan, but that she had been there before. And so, there were a lot of other entrepreneurs in my life. And so I knew I could always kind of lean back on them. And then this is going to sound kind of different, but the other mentor of mine was actually my daughter.
Yeah.
So she was in high school middle school and high school during the startup of Technovation, Minnesota. And there would be times where I'm like, am I too old for this? Do I have the right perspective? What do girls her age think? And so I was constantly connecting with her and what songs do you listen to? What problems are you thinking about? What are you dealing with every day at school and your networks and your friend groups? And that was kind of the fuel for me to say, okay, I need to continue to work through this. And she's not in technology, but she is in STEM fields. She's now in college now. But, when I look back at the mentoring, it's not necessarily that she taught me, the typical nonprofit world and bringing programs together, but she did help me make sure that I kept what you might consider the customer in the forefront. And that was really, really important for me to make sure that I understood who we were serving. And that in particular, that I, understood the emotions and what they were going through during those very, very impactful years.
Well, and it's very evident that, that youth voice has been very present in the program since the beginning. So thank you to your daughter for that.
Yeah. And Rebecca too.
Yeah, being the inspiration for that.
And she still does. There are times when I'll be like, oh, Rebecca, send me a message. Send me a message, right? She road A or road B, right? And so, and somehow we make it through together, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. If you could go back and tell yourself something that you've learned along the way, what would it be?
Yeah, I would probably say enjoy the journey and take it all in. Yeah. Looking back at I think we're at 9-10 years now, right?
Yep.
Looking back, and we were really scrappy in the very beginning, very, very scrappy, and creating MVPs and getting it out, and advocacy and all sorts of different things. And so, but as I look back now, there were key moments that I still remember today. It was like, oh, I wish I would have just slowed down. I wish I would have, I remember being at Appaloosa one year, and there was so much excitement and so much, you could see these girls and the confidence that they had built over the last, 12 weeks. And, if I just would have paused, right, and was quiet and listened and heard the excitement and, just observe what was going on, I could see the impact that the organization was having. And so that would be one thing. Looking back, I would have told myself, enjoy the journey and truly take it all in, because the girls are just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. And so, and the other thing too that I learned along the way is I get just as much out of the organization as the girls get, right? And I'm sure many, many of our volunteers say the same thing. They go back to their day job, or they go back to their other things happening in their life, and they're able to say, well, I had this perspective now that I didn't have previously. And, maybe my opinions have changed, or maybe, I will go a different route as a result of those perspectives. And you come out feeling energized, right? And you can conquer the world. And it of itself is confidence, right? You indeed are getting confidence. So I think
it goes both ways for sure.
It's like reverse mentoring, right?
Yep.
It's reverse mentoring. And so I love that. And every time I have a chance to connect with the girls, I try to say, yes, I'm going to be there. Yeah. I want to listen. I want to do those things. So yeah, those are the few things that I would tell my younger self.
Nice. How has what you learned through that time, bringing Technovation to life, how has that impacted your career at Cargill?
Oh, very much so. Not only at Cargill, but all of the positions that I've had.
Yeah.
I would say that my career track perhaps isn't as traditional as some. It is becoming even more traditional nowadays, but back in the day, it wasn't as traditional, right? And so, I've done several pivots in my career, right, from marketing to being, part of startups within organizations, to being in product development, and now I'm in learning and development. And so I've done quite a few pivots, but there are a few, and mind you, that's going to continue to happen, and even more rapidly, right, for everybody. And so we've got to continue and always learn to make sure that our skills are up to snuff, basically. And like I said, how you can participate and use your skills. But there are a couple things that come top of mind when I think about what have I learned. One I already mentioned, and that's listening.
Yeah.
There were several times within my Technovation quote unquote career that I learned that I really needed to listen. And again, listen to the girls. There was a situation where, our program is 12 weeks. And, we were like, yeah, it's a 12-week program. And after a few situations, I learned that a 12-week program isn't ideal for everybody.
Right.
Right. And so it brought me back to, okay, well, how might we change? What do we have to do to ensure that we reach these girls? And so that's when we started exploring, different application types. We brought in Alexa skills challenge. We said, hey, we need to have shorter, camps. We need, those types of things. And so, it was the listening that helped us identify that, there's more than just this 12-week, and we have to change, not they didn't have to change,
Right.
we had to change. So that was one thing. And I take that, now in product development, I take that very seriously, as you need to listen. And when your customer pivots, you need to pivot.
Yeah.
The other thing is curiosity. I hear the girls constantly, right, asking why, even very young, right?
Yeah.
You hear why this, why that. And so I challenge myself to ask those hard questions. Even in Agile, there's the 5 whys and all those strategies. And so curiosity is one of them. And I try to do different patterns in my life so I can, again, have different perspectives. And the last one I would say would be imagination. So these girls, particularly in middle school, right, they come with so many amazing ideas. And I realized in my journey that as I mature, I'm not maybe as imaginative. And so that's actually a skill that needs to be practiced. And innovation needs to be practiced. And if you don't do it every day, you lose it. And then you're like, okay, well, what have I done imaginative today? What have I done artistic? What have I designed today? And to kind of get out of the sometimes the world puts these fences around you that aren't enabling you to be imaginative. And so you got to go for a walk, and you need to color.
Break out of it. Yep.
And so that's certainly one thing I realized. And then the other thing that happened because I had my 3 words, 3 words of, education, women, and tech, is my world started to collide. My volunteer world and my professional world started to collide. And so that's when my network expanded, and it actually drove me to much more purposeful work because of my experience with Technovation. So those would probably be my few things of how it has impacted my career. There's no doubt that when I go to an organization, I bring Technovation with me. And that's, if you hire me, you hire you got Technovation just kind of comes with me, right?
Right.
And my team members love that. They've mentored, they've participated. It's just wonderful. So I'm just so thankful that there's organizations out there that support the same mission and vision that we have.
Absolutely. And last question for you. When you kind of look ahead about 5 years, what do you envision for Code Savvy and the Technovation Challenge?
Yeah, well, I used to say I don't really want the organization to exist because we will have achieved our vision and mission of having more parity, more women in tech. And I've since switched that now because I think we're all having a lot of fun. And the community that is built, and when you gather a group of people to solve a social problem, right, that's very impactful. And so when I think about the future, I think about all the Technovation alumni, right, and I'm anxious for them to to, now, we're 9 years in, right? They're now entering the workforce, and I'm just so excited. And I'm excited that you'll now see it on resumes.
Yep.
You will now see these girls making a true impact in the world, and they will, someday be on a network saying, hey, well, Technovation was one of the things that gave me the confidence to do XYZ, right? And so I'm super excited about that. We have thousands of girls that have gone through the program now, and so I'm excited for that. And I am assured that Technovation, or the future of the organization, there will always be a community here to support young women and to build the confidence, and we believe in them all, and we believe that they will make an impact to the world. And so I'm anxious for the organization to continue to evolve, to figure out how we can meet them where they're at, and to be that community that is so needed.
Yeah, and to be a support system, as you said, like the older girls that went through it can start giving back to the next generation.
Yes, it's like a cyclical, thing, right? And there will be some very, very successful girls that come out. I'm
already happening.
I know, right? So thrilled, that and honored to be even affiliated with some of these young women who were making such a profound impact. It's like, I remember when, right? They were at the app event, right?
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
It's really cool to see.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about the future. There will never be, there will always be problems to solve.
Yep.
Right. So that's not the issue, right? We will always be passionate about solving social problems and figuring it out and being creative in the process. And these girls are yes and girls, and they'll like, yep, bring it on. So I'm excited for that.